What's going on, everyone? Yeah, it's that time again, man. World Combat Sports here. Thanks to all the supporters, as always, to tune in. We're back with another one, as always. Give me a minute to fix this. Make sure my other streams are up. Hopefully, everyone is doing great during this shutdown, even though some regional areas are resuming business for the economy or whatever, for the economic relief. So that's a good thing, especially down here in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, my first topic, man. Some media, and I know it ain't me, so y'all can't hold me accountable for this shit. But I know we at a time where combat sports is limited, right? There's limited talking points. There's limited activities going on, especially for online media segues that used to visit the fights or whatever the case may be. In that process, if we're unable to attend in person, then we have to create content. I was one of those cats that was in the field a lot. You know, I showed up to the fights and did the interviews with the fighters on site, whatever. Now you relatively just, here trying to create content, which there's content out there. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to get in contact with other sites via social media and also reach out to other, various massive fighters in different organizations. But it really gets a little bit difficult when you primarily cover one sport. I'm just saying it. I'm just being honest. When you're basing majority of your knowledge off one sport, what's good about this pandemic is bringing out a lot of individuals that never really chose to venture outside of boxing. They really never took the time to try to understand what mixed martial arts has to offer, especially BJJ and all the other sports like Muay Thai and so forth. Yeah, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, karate, kickboxing, and all those sports. So what I'm seeing a lot of, right, is, man, people just putting the same titles up there to create attention gainers and speaking about the same fighters. And it's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. I'm not doing that. But listen, I can't sit up here and put myself in a position where I'm speaking on the same fighters all the time. They're the same fighters, the same fighters at the same fighters. It's almost like asking your kid, like, hey, go draw something, be creative. And then they keep bringing you back a stick man. And you're like, well, the only thing that's changed about this stick man is the location that you put it on the page, but it's still a stick man, right? And I see the titles up here talking about the same freaking fighters. Man, you know how many boxers that we have in the sport? It's so many freaking boxers in the sport. But just to see the constant continuation of the same titles that bottleneck back to the same talking points, the same topics of the same freaking fighters. And what that is showing is that the people that criticize new media for not doing their due diligence to dig a little bit deeper, then they're the ones smiling behind the scenes. They're saying, you know what, this is what we talk about all the time. This is what we're trying to tell you. If you're looking inside the pandemic and you're looking for certain sprinkles of media segues that were only thriving when the sport was thriving, then this is the perfect time to understand, the whole process and how that works. Because I just see a lot of segues that's talking about the same fighter. And you can talk about the same thing. You can talk about boxing all day long, but you're talking about the same fighters all day long. You just switch up the freaking titles. And to me, honestly, just my OP, you're limiting yourself. You're basically exposing your depth of freaking creativity and knowledge to the sport of boxing because you choose to speak on the same fighters. It's a lot more. Look, it's a lot more out there to boxing. But you know what? On one half I understand where you're coming from because you want to talk about what's important, what's interesting to the viewers and everything. I guess I look at it like on the flip side, I would want somebody to say, you know what? Um, the hardcore boxing fans will look at it like, okay, I can see that right there. I see why he's talking about the old school fighters. I can see why he's talking about certain aspects of boxing. You know, I can see how, you come up with topics from the old school to the new school, topics like that. And then you pick certain fighters that stood out. But man, y'all, this new media, man, y'all talk about the same freaking fighters. If it ain't Terrence Crawford, it's Errol Spence. If it ain't Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, every now and then Anthony Joshua. And then next, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? No Sean Porter, nothing. Keith Thurman every now and then when he want to show his face, and talk to the the social talk to certain media platforms. You know what I'm saying? Give it up to Keith Thurman, man. I know a lot of people don't like him or whatever, but Keith Thurman, man, I give him at least he's approachable. I like an approachable grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? An approachable grown man in the sport at the highest level that understands that he has people that pretty much are reaching out to him for conversation. He's willing to talk to them about the sport of boxing, and he's not stuck up about it. You know what I'm saying? Grown man shit. But just hearing the same media content over and over again, just because the sport isn't actively putting on fight cards. Now y'all gonna appreciate World Combat Sports for talking about mixed martial arts, huh? Because I know y'all haters, the same haters are saying, oh, he ain't a boxing channel. I keep telling y'all motherfuckers, I'm not a boxing channel. I'm not. You're absolutely right. I'm not a boxing channel. I enjoy mixed martial arts. What injustice will I be doing myself if I talk strictly about boxing? When you have such a masterful combat sports on the flip side. Boxing is masterful, and so is mixed martial arts. The collective bargaining that goes on with the fighter stepping in there and happen to train themselves to be able to contend against and also offensively strategize to go in there and defeat their opponent with multiple tools, multiple techniques that can be considerably dangerous. It's just a beautiful art to watch. You know what I'm saying? From being on the feet to the ground, and then you look at boxing, the movement, the coordination, setting traps, feinting, keeping proper distance, just working on certain technique. They negate themselves in so many facets. You know what I'm saying? Boxing can negate themselves if you took a mixed martial arts practitioner, brought them over to the boxing ring to contend, and then if you took a boxer and put them in a cage, there would be problems. But I'm speaking generally from media. I'm just speaking to a point where, to mirror up the importance of expanding your knowledge on multiple combat sports, because this is a proving ground right now. This is a solid point for you all to understand that this shutdown may go on for quite some time. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be the first to tell you, I'm tired of hearing y'all talk about the same freaking fighters, man. The same fighters. It's not all of y'all. It's just some of y'all up here changing up the description and talking about the same shit every goddamn day. We've heard about Terrence Crawford. It's not anything about the fighters that I mentioned. I'm just saying, like, how many aspects of Terrence Crawford? He wore a button-up shirt today, to the gym, and then he trained and sparred. But in that process, I think he was texting on the phone. He might have been texting Jermell Charlo. We don't know. And then you come creating goddamn narratives that's untrue. Like, I hear a lot of people talking about Deontay Wilder maybe taking step aside money. You know what? I could have told you all that Deontay Wilder had an injury long time ago. But out of respect for the source who told me, it was what it was. Even when the fight was over, I didn't say shit about it. But now it's coming out that he had to have bicep surgery. I just don't hear the same tone of voice of the people that was up here saying that he was making excuses. Like, y'all should respect him more for saying he didn't have an injury than the point of running with any type of narrative that you wanted to say about the uniform being too heavy. Come on, man. I told you all that on live. I said, come on, bro. It's already a video out there saying that he trained with a 40-pound vest. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Leonard? What's going on with you? Salute to you too, man. You know, he already put it out there. He trains with a 40-pound vest, right? What's going on, Matthew? And then, you know, people up here running with it saying he's keep on making excuses. That's why you got the PBC type of interview you did. He barely told y'all anything because you're so freaking quick to want to denigrate somebody, man, for making freaking excuses when it's not an excuse. The man didn't even say shit about the bicep. He went in there and took his bumps and bruises. He took the loss of his title. Tyson Fury gave him the business, but was he 100%? You know, was he 100% for that fight? If the man said that wasn't Deontay Wilder in there, then guess what? It wasn't Deontay Wilder. But y'all busy up here saying that just because he took a loss to the fighter that you was probably cheering for anyway, that you put money on, y'all don't want to give the man no credit. Who knew about the bicep? I knew about the bicep, but who else knew about the bicep surgery? And now that you heard him come out and say he had bicep surgery, and now that the fight is pretty much off for the year, now that we have people talking about, well, guess what? I got to create my own motherfucking mystery novel here. Deontay Wilder potentially may be taking step aside money because Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. When is Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury going to fight? You know, we got to hold ourselves to a standard, man. God damn. If Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury isn't fighting 2020, how the fuck is Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua gonna fight when he gave up his UK license? And furthermore, yeah, he can get his license back. All right. But for the time being, so you know, he won't have to face investigation or whatever the case that may have influenced him to give up his license. When are they going to fight? Are they going to fight 2020? How's that possible? It's a contractual agreement. Now, anything can happen, but I'm not the one to prognosticate and say, well, it's potentially Deontay Wilder may take the step aside money. I'm not going to say that because that's not the type of feedback I've been getting. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I've been hearing. But for people to come over here and start putting it out there, talking about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua may potentially be, you know, that's not the first time we heard that shit. Right after the fight was over, we heard Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn talking about trying to make the Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fight. We heard that shit already, man. We heard them trying to talk that shit up. Of course they want to fight for the unified titles. Who wouldn't? But contractually right now, we have an obligation in place. And that is rightfully so that Deontay Wilder deserves a trilogy to go back in there and face Tyson Fury. Now, my disappointment is the new media that going up here talking about, let me put up in the title, Deontay Wilder may take step aside money, ? Look at all my titles. I don't lead people on and say, you know what, Tyson Fury found in a bar with a question mark. That's basically inviting people over to say, oh shit, what's going on? You know, but then it turns out to be something absolutely different than what it's supposed to be. Just say what the fuck you're gonna say. Put the title up there and make it realistic so people won't take new media as a joke. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight being off now. It's supposed to happen in July. It's supposed to happen in October. Now potentially off for 2020. Bob Arum even mentioned it himself, right? He was even asked on the interview with the Boxing Voice, right? He was asked about Deontay Wilder taking step aside money. That's because that's what people are rowing the boat with. They're rowing goddamn upstream with it. And then, Bob Arum say, I don't think he's the type of dude. Like, he seems like the type of man who has a lot of pride. And I agree with Bob Arum. I agree with him in that facet. Deontay Wilder doesn't seem like the type of person who would sit up here and take step aside money after everything he's been through leading up to the fight, what he had to go through to get to the fight, how he was feeling at the fight, and then walking to the ring, hearing the boos once inside the MGM Grand, and then stepping and splitting the ropes and not winning the fight. We're talking about going on his 11th defense, y'all. He was in the company of surpassing some greats. And for him not to make that happen successfully, why would he all of a sudden say, at 35 years old, y'all, I'm going to take step aside money and I'm going to let them get back to me? How can you say that? You cannot even fathom Deontay Wilder being that type of cat, man. He doesn't even come off to me as that type of dude. I just want y'all to understand that. It's just outside of any good graces of mine for y'all to put up these leading titles and y'all grown ass freaking man. I can understand the younger generation, right? I can understand how they come up here and this may be something that they live and die from. But you in your 30s, your 40s, and you're living on social media like you got to create titles just to get people to tune in to you. Understand, life ain't gonna hold up for you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get old regardless. There's nothing I can do about it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get old regardless. But why put titles up there that's misleading to sway people to tune in? And the shit is just like making new media a joke in a sense. It's comedic because basically you're putting superficial, disingenuous descriptions up there just to get people to lean in and say, for real? You know what I'm saying? If that's how you're doing your media, it doesn't make any sense to sit up here and talk about the sport in general. If all it's going to be is lead, Floyd Mayweather returning to the ring, ? Why though? If Floyd Mayweather's returning to the ring, then we'll hear about him returning to the ring, man. We'll know that Money Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's turning to the ring. You know what I'm saying? We will understand all that. But all this fake and buffoonery, man, it's just exhausting to watch, man, for real. It's just exhausting to watch. What I can tell you, honestly, as short time I've been online doing media, I've been covering the sport for a while, but being on this media circuit, online based, especially during this, pandemic in the last year, I guess for me, I just look at it as being a bit animated or cartoonish, or, just like we used to have 3 channels back in the day, and you only had a choice to look at certain content, but all the content was somewhat the same. You had your soap operas and you had the motherfucking cartoons. That's the way I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Even the soap operas, that shit was scripted, but it was serious. But the cartoons, you was going to get the funny. And that's what I kind of get. Looking at certain media outlets, I get the funny all the time because I can read their description and they just put the same shit up there all the time. You shouldn't have to put anything up there except what you're reporting on for somebody to just say, okay, let me check this out. Not, oh shit, god damn, boxing may not ever return for the year 2020. When the results, what's good? He say, not only that, AJ has a mandatory versus Pulev. what they're gonna pay him to is not gonna happen. And that's what I'm talking about. Fitness, results fitness. That's a solid point I'm talking about. They want to talk about Deontay Wilder taking step aside money, but then again, you got Kubrat Pulev, who is the mandatory for Anthony Joshua. It ain't no question about that. No ifs, ands, or buts. Pulev is the mandatory. So bilaterally, monetary payouts have to go to Pulev and freaking Deontay Wilder. But let's talk about the morals and principles. I know boxing doesn't have them, but let's talk about the principles of the individual. I can only speak about Deontay Wilder. I just don't see him as being that person. So you're not going to see World Combat Sports go up here and say, Deontay Wilder takes payout? ? That shit ain't happening with me because I just think it's fake media. I just think it's shit that attention gainers for people to tune in. And they start taking you as a joke. But, I'm being a little, disgruntled, so to speak, because believe it or not, that's what this era of social media enjoys. They enjoy a lot of misleading media. They enjoy reality TV, man. Not all of them, of course, but they enjoy that bullshit, That's just not something I grew up off of, and I'm not going to start now just trying to be goofy and come on here and talk about some bullshit just so I can get more views. But anyway, that is what it is, man. And absolutely, fitness, you was right about that, man. They would definitely have to pay Kubrat Pulev step aside money for AJ. But my point is, why, if you're going to report on the fight, right? You have Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. If you're going to report on the fight, report across from the left and right. Keep it abreast. Keep it a buck. Report on AJ and Kubrat too. You can't just say, well, Deontay Wilder going to get step aside money so Tyson can face Anthony Joshua. But then you're not really putting in the description that the same thing Anthony Joshua will have to pay step aside money to Pulev. But look, why would these fighters at their age want to take step aside money and then allow other fighters to fight for a paycheck and for all the belts? Who's going to get first up? Who's going to get next up? So just say, for instance, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fights, right? Who gets the seniority to the winner? Where is that going to be in the contract? Whoever wins out Tyson Fury. Let's say Tyson Fury smashes AJ, because that's going to happen. If Tyson Fury ain't just taking the cash out so Anthony Joshua can become unified champion, in which people still won't respect him as being one of the greatest heavyweight champions, regardless if he's two-time unified and then he picks up the WBC belt. They just won't, because of how he went about it. Now, I can tell you this, I'm going strictly for Tyson Fury if he faces AJ, right? Just say, if it was to happen, who has seniority, Deontay Wilder or Kubrat Pulev? Who gets next up? That's my point. I just want to know who is next up. It ain't going to be no rematch. So Anthony Joshua loses. In my opinion, why wouldn't Anthony Joshua want to put a rematch clause in the contract for 2 extra paydays? You get the big payday with Tyson Fury, and then you lose, you go back for the rematch. See, that's how I know the rotation is not going to happen. It's not going to work like that, because that's like the highest tier of the heavyweight division. It's a lot of money involved. And why would a fighter want to go in there and say, you know what? We're one and done. One and done, y'all. We go ahead and fight for all the marbles. I lose. So freaking AJ loses his belts. It'll be dumb of him at his age to say, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I don't need no goddamn rematch. That's not even logical. That's not even logical, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being as genuine as I possibly can, man. That's just not logical for someone like AJ, who had a rematch clause against Andy Ruiz, to come over here and fight for the undisputed titles, lose, and not have some type of rematch clause in there to try to win his titles back, especially the payday. And where does that lead Deontay Wilder? Because I'm not really worried about Pulev right now. What about Deontay Wilder? Why, at his age, a man who said he only has, what, 3-4 years left, or what have you, 35 years old, why would he make a decision as asinine as that to say, go ahead, Tyson Fury, pay me to step aside money, when he has a legacy? He already has a general public that has this way of criticizing him for every goddamn thing he does. So why would he even put more disdain upon himself? Why would he put himself on the darker cloud with his fans by taking step aside money? Because I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna work. Hear me out. I'm gonna tell you how contradicting and how freaking two-sided it's gonna be. When it came time for Tyson Fury to take his immediate rematch, he didn't want to. As much as people want to say, oh, he whooped Deontay ass in the first bout, he really won that bout. Listen, Tyson Fury did not take the immediate rematch. He went out there and fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Whalen, right? Then he came back around the block. So therefore, if Deontay Wilder refuses to take this rematch for a trilogy, all right, with Tyson Fury, they would treat it as if he's running, he's ducking, he's scared. We always knew Deontay Wilder wasn't that type of dude. He was talking the talk, and time he took one loss, he ran. That's pretty much it. They're not going to want to talk about anything that happened with Tyson Fury not taking the immediate rematch. But when it comes to Deontay Wilder, if he takes his step aside money, they're going to be like, following Tyson Fury's lead. Well, Deontay Wilder, he was only fighting for the money anyway. A man that freaking ruled for over 5 years, right? Now you have Tyson Fury putting little doo-doo piles out there in the media for people to goddamn jump on like little flies and say, oh, I believe Deontay Wilder is basically fighting for a paycheck. You know how those American fighters do. They live like rock stars, but they really living like, at rock bottom. So all of a sudden, he's trying to insinuate Deontay Wilder has a lot of people to take care around him. They always say that about black fighters a lot. They have a lot of people to take care of. They have a lot of homies. They have a lot of individuals that's clinging to them. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden, Deontay Wilder reigning for over 5 years, it never was the highlight of the media headlines. But all of a sudden he lose one time, Tyson Fury want to put out there that now all of a sudden he believes him taking the trilogy is because he needs the money. He's broke because he's living like a rock star. And I think that's the biggest bullshit ever, man, because if Tyson Fury, if anybody, he doesn't have room to talk, because I can guarantee you his bank account was getting very, very dense and shallow because it was all going up his nose and he wasn't seeing the residual income once the high was going on. Once he came down from the high, this shit didn't feel right. He said, oh, somebody, give me an account balance. Please, somebody give me an account balance. What do I have left in there? 4,500. That's it. Call the managers up. It's time to go back to boxing and get a PR team, please. I need a storyline to come back to boxing. I'm running low on funds. Man, come on, bro. You was goddamn sniffing your money, man. You was blowing through your shit, bro. Be honest, man. Be honest with yourself, bro. You came back to the sport of boxing because you needed the money, man. You wasn't rich just because you stepped in there and fought Vladimir Klitschko. You wasn't rich, bro. Not sitting up here and not making residual incomes, not having businesses outside the sport of boxing. You wasn't rich like that. So for you to sit up here and insinuate or make accusations against Deontay Wilder that he need money, he's taking the trilogy for money, you know what I'm saying? That's coward. That's just a pusillanimous way for you to come over here and say, you know what, let me throw some barbs. You know, since Deontay Wilder ain't saying anything, let me try to poke the bear a little bit. Let me be antagonistic. Let me talk some shit. Knowing damn well the one who deserves to stand in the mirror and point to himself as the problem is Tyson Fury. He was a dope head. I like Tyson Fury. I do. He's a funny dude. But when it comes down to him criticizing somebody for taking a trilogy, who defended their title, who reigned for over 5 years, who went in there for an 11th defense, who sits among the company of the greats, then guess what? You just can't sit up here and say, well, let me push that to the side. He can get that appreciation once he's out of the sport. You know what I'm saying? Once he's done and over and it's time for him to retire, then we can glorify him. You know what I'm saying? Then we can catapult him to the pantheon of boxing. When the results said it happened, Fury would retire, but I really think a lot of this is from Frank Warren because Fury does not want to fight Wilder again. I'm not sure about that, man. Fury's a shit talker, man. He just talks, and people love to latch on to his words. Fury basically, mentioned that in his words. Frank Warren has no reason to sit up here and try to stir the pot. It'd be a waste of Frank Warren's time, being that we in the pandemic too. It's like a waste of his time to do that shit. It really is for him to start a war of words online just to talk shit. I mean, Frank Warren really wants the money. Yeah, either way he can get it. If it's with Wilder or if it's with freaking AJ or whoever, he wants to be involved with greatness too. You know what I'm saying? Either way it goes. But contractually, I'm pretty sure Frank Warren was there when they signed the contract and made sure there was a rematch in there and it was a trilogy. I mean, come on, man. Let's be honest with ourselves. I'm pretty sure he was there and they knew what they were signing. This is nothing new. This is nothing new, man. Fury would retire after beating AJ. I mean, we know AJ is a joke. Everyone knows he's a paper champ. Yep. Truly agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Truly agree with AJ being a manufactured champion. One of the weakest heavyweights we've seen in a while. Very robotic. And I know people don't really like to talk about it outside of myself. But look, people think I hate on AJ. I'm not hating on AJ. I've been consistent with my criticism of AJ. I cannot hate on AJ because I just don't put forth that energy to do that on people. You know what I'm saying? People in general. It's just too much energy. But for AJ, what I see as far as the respect goes and how I view boxing, I just believe he's cushioned in the right living quarters. You know what I'm saying? He has basically surrendered everything about his Nigerian roots. And he chose to just say, you know what? I'm going to let Eddie Hearn guide me through this. He has all the damn say so. He has the compass. He has the master plan for where I need to go. So that's how it went. If AJ would have fought somebody tough, his first fight for the vacant WBA, right? If it would have been somebody tough, whoever it was, then I would have said, you know what? This is interesting. Okay, I respect the fact of who he fought right then. But he went and got This is how it all worked out. It was all about the money. He went and sought out someone he can get along with, first of all, that understood the plan, that would go by the plan, because let's be honest, Klitschko wasn't trying to come back to boxing to reign as a champion. He was just basically saying, you know what? Okay, you want me to come back for another big payday? Cool, I can do that. And once they stepped in the fight and the bell rung, second, third, fourth, fifth round, you know what I'm saying? Klitschko was saying to himself, like, damn, if I really want to knock Joshua wet confetti chin out, I could pop the top. It's that easy. Even though he understood what the orders was, that Joshua was going to begin his reign as champion, and he was just there as a opponent. That's it. When he got in there, he had to make it believable. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder was ringside. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, if he wouldn't have got someone that was inactive for about a year and a half or whatever, then it would have been a little bit more respect. He got an active fighter. Then he goes up here and Charles Martin did what he did. And then Joseph Parker, the referee, wouldn't allow them to engage at all. Like, the referee was obviously there. And not only that, if you go back to the Carlos Takam fight, the referee was trying to stop the fight on some bullshit. So now it comes to light, the routine that was going on. Now it comes to light. Even the fight he had with Vladimir Klitschko, the referee stopped the fight while Klitschko was on his feet. The same circumstance that happened to Deontay Wilder. Stopped it while he was on his feet. And I truly believe that Klitschko could have finished that fight if he wanted to. If you look at Joshua's mannerisms, he didn't even believe the fight was stopped. He's standing there like, huh? Oh, it's time? Okay. All right, cool. You look at the Carlos Takam fight. Takam deserved to go the distance. He was going to go the distance with Joshua. He had already been knocked down by Joshua, and he took it fairly well, and he made it back to his feet and fought on, even though he was losing the fight. Not to mention that they agreed upon 235, and Joshua came in all bulked up, no cardio, at like 250 plus. You know what I'm saying? So Carlos Takam, he was already behind. He wasn't meant to win, but still he showed up because, of course, he don't fight, he don't get paid. So to answer that question, man, I mean, to caveat to your point, absolutely. You know, Joshua is that one fighter of mine that I've been consistent with, and people get mad. I don't know how many groups, you know, I've been blocked, been telling the truth about Joshua since 2018, man. Like, all the way when he was coming out the Olympics, man, Joshua did not win the gold medal round. And the people that really have a problem with it is the ones that stand over there with him, you know, his countrymen. They want to come to his defense all the time. But I'm saying to myself, if you're willing to come to Anthony Joshua's defense, Tyson Fury's defense, even when they dead ass wrong, then why are you complaining about when Americans come to the aid of Deontay Wilder and basically say some legitimate points that he really isn't the type of fighter who cancel a bout because of injury? He's fought through injury before. You know, he's just built like that. He's a freak of nature. He's a different type of cat, right? But, you know, this particular fight with Tyson Fury, he obviously lost. But then the public want to say, well, he's making up excuses because of the suit. When did he say something about the suit? And then, you know, all the chaos that was going on with Mark Breland throwing in the towel and everything else. Y'all have to give the man credit. Even when he came back on PBC interview, he wasn't up there talking about excuses, you know, Tyson's glove gate, you know what I'm saying? Tyson dirty tactics. He wasn't really marinating the whole interview on that because we haven't heard from the champ, and it was good for us to hear from him. But when you heard him on the interview, you didn't hear him too much just underlining the same thing that people have been criticizing him for in the media. You didn't hear that shit, man. Grown man shit, bro. What's up, Perky? I don't know what Scotty 000 mean, but Wilder doing the third fight because he thinks he had an off night and deserves to redeem himself. He said it wasn't him. So yeah, I kind of agree, you know, being that he didn't feel it was him or he had an off night, same thing. But what is in ink is the contract. The contract says the man has to return, y'all. No matter how you want to break it down and dispose of it, it ain't going nowhere, man. You can say Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is trying to make a fight. Let's do the analytics, man, especially during the pandemic. If the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight is off for 2020, how in the hell something else is going to cultivate outside of that fight in 2021? You think the season's going to come and go? And just because it's winter, all of a sudden they're going to say, well, it's 2021. Oh, man, that was a good hibernation. What are we going to do? I think they opening up all the primary boxing meccas now. You know what I'm saying? The primary spots, Vegas and all that. What's up with this heavyweight division? What fight we going to make? Well, the only one to make, because, you know, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury didn't happen in 2020. Let's go ahead and make this undisputed bout with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and make that happen for the people. This shit don't work that easy, bro. The shit doesn't work that easy. Y'all need to understand that shit. I know what you all want. I know what you're yearning for. I really know you eager for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. And I'm telling you, people, you're going to be so disappointed. I'm telling you. This goes to the casual fight fans too. You're going to be so disappointed, man. You know why you're going to be disappointed? Because the fight is not going to be exciting as the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight. You can bet everything on it. You can bet everything on it. It's not going to be exciting as you would get even in the rematch of Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua isn't that dude. Y'all need to understand that. Accept it. He's not that type of fighter, y'all. He's a manufactured champion, y'all. Seriously. Anthony Joshua didn't win his gold medal round in the London Olympics. He did not. If you think he did, please, by all means, ask me for the link so we can talk about it. I know it ain't a damn soul that's tuning in or peeking in through the window or get their ass on here and prove otherwise. Prove that Anthony Joshua won his gold medal round. Prove it. I can sit up here and pull up the video and we can both go through it and you can give your side and I give my side. I mean, it'll be all respect, but prove to me he was a true gold medalist and he won his gold medal round from a guy who's a returning champion. And the performance that Anthony Joshua put on, prove it. Look at it. Go on YouTube and look at it. I'm not just making this shit up. You think they would have a boxing event with no fans? I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. They did it before the pandemic shut everything down. So it's only a matter of time if it does occur. But I can tell you like this. Bob Arum has made it clear that he isn't in a rush to make this shit pop. He's been in the sport for quite some time. He said, you know what? I'm not in a rush to be the first. I'm not in a rush to get back. You know what I'm saying? While the pandemic is still active and is no control on the virus. You know what I'm saying? It's really no control. So in so many words, he's saying he's going to be patient and make sure everything is done right. Even though the UFC is planning on a fight card this upcoming week. As the OG he is, Bob Arum is not really in a rush or haste to bring back a fight card just to compete with everybody else. He's just not. But I can tell you this, you're probably going to see boxing pockets start to come to the surface regionally, and you're going to begin to seeing, regional promotions put on fight cards. The reason why that's going to be so easy, because most of the time they have fighters regionally fighting within the states. The bigger problem that comes into play with the higher promotions is that you have fighters from all countries that come in and compete. So until the travel bans and this COVID-19 is somewhat contained and the numbers level out to zero, the test kits are available, the vaccines are available, standard operating procedures are out. You're not going to see travel restrictions lifted and these foreign neighboring fighters come back into the U.S. and start fighting and training, man. It's just not going to happen that easy. It's not going to happen, even though I want it to. I want that shit to happen, man. Real talk. I want that shit to happen. I do. But I don't want to see one of my favorite fighters get sick or anything like that, or a trainer or a team or whatever, or we have another breakout, and this time reactively they say, well, you know what? We did open up the economy too quick, so we're going to turn that lock. This time we're going to put the deadbolt on and remove the key, and we really need a stay at home, a stay in place for at least 3 good months. So once we was getting all antsy that boxing will take place once again, it places us back in seclusion. It places us back in a state like, God damn, how long are we going to be waiting this time? And the way I really think about it, I'm like, damn, the fighters are really fucked. Like, it's a lot of fighters that's really fucked up right now. I'm not being facetious about it. I'm being absolutely genuine and honest. I just can't imagine what some of these fighters that were dependent on a paycheck of fighting so many times a year and getting that bankroll to support themselves and their family. I know they're like, no, this can't go all the way out 2020. What am I going to do? I got a car note. I got a house note. I got all that shit to pay. Now they start taking advances. You know what I'm saying? Now they start taking advances. So when it comes time for them to get back, they gotta pay for fight camp, and then the paycheck, the purse that they get off their fight, they got to pay back their advance. If you don't think some shit like that ain't popping in boxing, you sadly mistaken. The people who have the money to do that, even though it might be that small, if they're up here giving the fighters advances outside of an agreement they have just to help them out or whatever, you can almost guarantee that money has to be paid back, y'all. That money has to be returned, y'all. This ain't no goddamn charity. This shit is real life. Combat sports is tough, even on the mixed martial arts side. People don't understand the PFL, they can give their fighters stipends for what, 5 months or whatever. Okay? Whatever it may be. Because they have less contractors or fighters in their organization than Bellator or UFC. They have a playoff, a tournament style, format, which they only allow so many fighters into the format to begin with. As in the UFC, you have an entire organization, multiple fighters, and multiple fight cards put on annually. So if you think Dana White, the Fertitas, or whoever else is in charge over there, you think they're gonna basically compensate their fighters until this is up? It's not happening. It's fighters over there struggling for a meal right now, man. It's fighters that's looking for jobs that they didn't think they would have. It's tough, bro. So what you think about how heavyweight division is going to turn out between these 3 fighters? Wilder, Fury, Joshua, who will fight who? And who will end up with the belts? Who will fight who? I mean, the only thing, look, the only avenue I'm going to take on who's fighting who is what's scheduled. What is scheduled is Deontay Wilder and Fury. That's it. Joshua is scheduled to fight his mandatory in Kubrat Pulev. That ain't going nowhere. Pulev is not going to automatically dissolve as the mandatory just because months go by and there's a pandemic. It's not going to happen. I don't see neither of those opposition faltering or going anywhere. Both of these fighters have obligations, and that's the way it is. And I really don't care. You know, I truly believe Deontay Wilder can go in there and regain his title. I truly do. It's up to Deontay Wilder. He's built different. It's up to him to go in here and like he said, he was going to get a different set of eyes. He's going to do some new things. It's up to him to do that. Only he knows what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't really talked too much. And to be honest, I don't blame him. Look, I'm surprised he even came out and talked with PBC. I don't blame him because at the end of the day, the fans that was booing you was the same one who's despising you before you even took your first step to the ring. Period. I'm really surprised he even came out and gave an interview with PBC. But once again, you know, they probably gave him a call, say, hey, Wilder, you know, it's about that time, man. You know, just go talk to the fans, let them know how you feel. You know, just go do a little slight interview, man. And so we can just get some, you know, just confirm some things out there, you know. And he did. And he gave them as vague of answers that you can possibly get from somebody who hasn't spoke to the media since February 22nd. And it's hilarious, man, because I'm good. I'm glad that's the way it happened. Because I'm just saying it from a viewpoint that Deontay Wilder was booed in his own country with a guy. Look, and don't call the black thing, all right? Don't call the black thing. But he was booed in his own country versus a neighboring fighter who's been out the sport for popping for peds and drugs. Now, listen, that doesn't go anywhere, y'all. He was actually suspended for that, right? So how can you take a fighter that hasn't been in that type of trouble? The only thing you want to hype on is him saying the Bronze Bomber want to catch a body. You know what I'm saying? And him trash talking. So there's a double standard here when you're saying that Deontay Wilder can trash talk when we allow him to. But for Tyson Fury, he can do it whenever he feel like it. Just whenever he feel like it, y'all. Tyson Fury want to call somebody a cunt, a tit, a dosser, a bloke, whatever he want to use. It's all funny games and hilarious. But Deontay Wilder, if he was to use those same words, oh man, we would have women groups. How dare you disrespect women like that? How dare you speak of us in such an objective manner? You're disrespecting every woman who has fought and bared a kid in life. You shouldn't be allowed to fight in a sport that represents so many, especially for your country. And then look, they'll be saying this shit right here. And you was Olympian? How dare you? And then they would include all the Olympians, all the prior Olympians. They'll start bringing up freaking Olympians that fought. You know what I'm saying? They will have to be careful, though, because a lot of Olympians that got in trouble. You know what I'm saying? They will have to be very careful. But they say, you know what? You fought in the Olympics, Deontay. How can you sit up there and use those words? And I'm just being, making a little light of it. But I'm saying if Deontay would have said cunt, tit, all those little common phrases that they use over there, then he would have been freaking vilified from pillar to post, y'all. You know it's true. I know it's true. Don't try to sit up here and act like I'm exacerbating this bullshit. I'm not. It's real talk. They would have brought his girl. They would have brought his fiance into the equation. They would have even brought his kids into equation. They would say, oh, and you say that you started the sport because of your daughter, they would have goddamn brought anything in there. It's a double standard. It is an absolute triple standard. It is a quadruple standard. Real talk. Deontay Wilder talking shit as a grown ass man. And the one thing they want to hype on is, the fact that he said the bronze bomber want to catch a body and they want to run with it. And they always want to be first to say the man is classless. And then you have Tyson Fury is just saying some of the worst things you can ever hear a man talk about, especially if you're married to a woman. If you married at the time, you don't hear nobody criticizing that shit. Calling a woman a cunt, you don't hear nobody goddamn criticizing him. I can tell you what, let Wilder mention that word once, and you'll have all the women right groups. You will have everybody up here, everybody protesting from the top of the hill to the lay of the land. God damn it, they will be up here protesting from sun up, the sun goddamn down. What's going on, Josh? How you feel, man? Perky just perked up. He said, "Yeah, Josh is here. I got my ace." We 8 days away from greatness. For your sake, Josh, I hope it is 8 days from greatness, man. Real talk. That's one thing I could. Hey, Josh, let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this, bro. Why you don't want to come on here and talk live about the fight card? Or you just don't feel comfortable? Because you was talking about Skyping and all that. I'm just saying. You seem like you know pretty much about, you hyped up about the UFC, man. You always welcome the invitation to get on here and talk about the card, bro. The invitation is open. Perky said, you think they will ever make Wilder versus Joshua fight, even if Wilder beat Fury? Perky, that's a damn good question, okay? Good question, Perky. This is my answer to that. Anthony Joshua never wanted to fight Wilder when the first negotiations was taking place in 2018. That's why they was making it so difficult for him. They was basically starving the man of comfort. You know what I'm saying? Of motivation. When you up here giving a man a flat fee, when he have people to pay, when he's going in there risking his life, and you want to say, you know what? Have him work for slave wages. Send him in there with a flat fee. And the only reason I say slave wages is because that stipulation they was putting on Deontay Wilder wasn't something that they was putting across the board, that they was stipulating on every other fighter. It was just specifically for Deontay Wilder. So the fact that they did, Anthony Joshua did that, co-signed on it with him and Eddie Hearns, doing the 15 million flat, and then turning down the 50 million because they had other collateral deals that was taking place, like that DAZN deal and the bogus 2-fight Wembley deal that Joshua only fought once. The April 13th came and went. So therefore, I look at it like this. Anthony Joshua truly has shown his cards in the way that he was saying, you know what, Tyson Fury, if you want me to help you prepare for Deontay Wilder for the rematch, I can. He didn't want Deontay Wilder to win, beat Tyson Fury. So now that the person has won that he wanted, he definitely don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. Definitely. So I look at it like this. He feels more comfortable now in a sense that he can get a fight with Tyson Fury above all else. Somehow, some way, he feels that he can get a fight with Deontay Wilder sometime in the far distance. You know, maybe if Deontay Wilder's still in the sport at 39, 40 years old, you know, Anthony Joshua may want to fight him then. But right now, he ain't trying to fight Deontay Wilder. And to answer your question, no, he wouldn't fight him. If Deontay Wilder goes back in there, defeats Fury, get his WBC belt back, then come back to this live and hear me out and understand what I was trying to tell you. They're going to make it so difficult, but it's going to be much more tougher now that Deontay Wilder has been in there with Fury 3 freaking times. If it all goes down 3 times, they're not going to be able to come back and say, you know what? We want to give you a 70-30 or a 60-40, because Anthony Joshua's lost his belts too, and he regained it. He has 1 loss, just like Deontay Wilder. The only person that's sitting pretty in this situation is Tyson Fury. That's it. Tyson Fury is sitting pretty. Cowboy. Dang, Josh, you didn't answer my question, homeboy. You didn't answer my question, Josh. See, that's what I say about fight fans, man. Cowboy wants to fight 3 times in 1 week. Come on, Cowboy. You know, Cowboy is just talking crazy right now. Man, Cowboy, I think Cowboy may be, suffering from encephalitis, encephalopathy, whatever you want to call it, pugilistica. He may be. He's an extreme dude. He may not be thinking with all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some spark plugs fouled in there. Something. Cowboy talking that nonsense. I don't even want to hear that from Cowboy right now. If you're going to go in there and continue to get stopped and then say, you know what? I wasn't in that fight. I didn't want to be there 2 days. I didn't want to be there. Don't nobody want to hear that shit no more, because you're a veteran, bro. All you're doing is racking up losses and coming back like, well, what excuse can I use this time? The Conor McGregor beat me. And now they're trying to say Stephen A. Smith was somewhat valid in his criticism of Cowboy. And I still say no, but also I have to put emphasis on Cowboy too. I have to say, you know what? If you didn't want to be there, why you took the fight against a top name opponent as Conor McGregor? You're talking about 2 days before the fight, you didn't want to be there. So you might have just as well went in there and quit. I know people don't want to hear that Q word, but Cowboy, man, if you saying to the people that you didn't want to be there 2 days prior, you might have went in there and surrendered. Period. I mean, that's not far-fetched, man. I know people don't like to hear that Q word, but God damn it, you didn't put up much of a fight, man. You've been in tougher fights. I've seen you in tougher fights, and you didn't go down. What Conor did wasn't all that special. Scott, you don't sound confident that UFC card gonna happen. I'm just holding my ground. There is a percentage of optimism. So as media, I'm not going to get all hyped up and compulsive and say, you know what, I'm going to start reporting that the card is actually going to happen. Now, the vibe is going to change a little bit. Just real talk. The vibe is going to change a little bit next week. Seriously, the closer we get to the fight, my energy is going to pick up a little bit. I'm just being honest. It's going to pick up different. It's going to be different. But don't read too much into it. Don't read too much into it. I'm just being cautious for a reason. I'm being safe. I don't want to go up here and put all my heart into reporting on UFC 249. Then all of a sudden, a release come out, and somehow somebody down in Florida has shut it down. Now I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of shit popping right now down in Florida, dealing with this UFC card. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. It's a lot of things that's going on right now that I'm not going to talk about. It's a lot of moving parts that's taking place right now as we speak. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's a lot of protocol that has to be followed prior to this card happening. This is not a freaking let's go to the park and kick rocks. It's a lot of shit that has to be taking place. Hey, Josh, man, why you ignore my invite, man? Come on. Josh, of all people, bro. Josh Talks UFC. You don't want to get on here? You don't want to goddamn show your face on World Combat Sports, man, and talk. This is the biggest card. I know you hyped up about it, man. I know you hyped up about it. This guy's crazy, man. He's thinking he's making money, and that's great. But he has to think about his family and his health. He took a lot of damage. Someone from his camp, a training partner, a coach, a friend, or someone has to step in and tell him it's time to look into other stuff than fighting. I'm 70%. I'm 70% right now. We get this card. The hype is good right now. All right, cool, man. I know the hype is so good. I would definitely like to talk about it live and live in color. But man, some people feels comfortable. I understand, Josh. You feel comfortable behind the screen. It's all good. Whoever you may be, you feel comfortable about it. You may even be a fighter. You never know. You know what I'm saying? That's the solitude of social media. But if you ever want to get on here and talk, because look, commentary, dialogue between multiple people in combat sports is always much more effective to the viewing audience to hear somebody else's voice and opinion than my own. You know what I'm saying? Period. But appreciate it. Thanks for alluding. Ignoring the invite. It's all good. DC wife isn't going to let him come back to his own house for 2 weeks. Yeah, I heard that on the podcast with Ariel Helwani. I don't put too much thought process into that because he needs to quarantine because all these commentators were doing multiple cards. Yeah, I heard that. I don't put too much. If I'm paying the bills, and especially in DC's case, he's the one going in there, stepping into the cage. Whenever I return from a fight card in Florida or whatever, I'm walking through my door and I'm doing what I got to do. I'll take the test or whatever. Fuck all that 2 weeks. I got my kids in there. I got my wife in there. I'm coming home. I don't want to hear. I think that shit was good for TV. That's it. It's all good, man. Whatever you choose to, it's all good, bro. You the one brought it up, not me. Back several days ago, you the one brought it up, not me. But the goddamn invitation. Most people don't want to get on here and talk mixed martial arts. They'll talk boxing, but they don't want to talk mixed martial arts, though. That's the good thing about social media. You can click on the link and join in, man, and talk your talk. It's always good to hear other opinions, man, other people's thought process. Now back to the card, though. Back to the card. The more and more I think about it, I'm leaning more and more. If I get a healthy Dominick Cruz, I'm talking about a healthy Dominick Cruz. I'm talking about, listen, people, you have to understand how special this dude is. Even though Henry Cejudo, when he was fighting for the vacant 135-pound title, even though he defeated Marlon Moraes, it wasn't like that couldn't happen. Marlon Moraes wasn't really known for his boxing skills, right? He was known for his his hands and his kicks. He can mix it up pretty good, right? It's just Henry Cejudo found a different way to win, period. So when I look at Dominick Cruz and the fights that he fought injured, the way he fought TJ Dillashaw, what happened leading up to that fight? To get the call to face TJ Dillashaw, to come back off a year and a half, obviously not full health, and to go in there and get his leg blitzed by TJ and still cut angles. You know what I'm saying? All the multiple feints, changing speeds, landing awkward, unorthodox punches on TJ Dillashaw, scoring, y'all. Look, I look at it like this, right? The way Dominique Cruz fight, and he said this himself, people will always say that is not the way you want to train. That is not the style you want to have. But it just goes to prove in mixed martial arts and boxing and any other sport, when somebody is good or great at what they do, they make it work. And Dominique Cruz's style is amazing. Let me ask you this, Josh. Let me read this. Do you think people will get paid extra for working this card? Bro, did you hear about a company that owns the UFC having problems and having to fire 1/3 of their employees? I really don't care about who they fire, bro. That company is worth billions, right? It was sold for billions, or whatever the case. I don't care who they fire. It's a lot of people that's firing their employees. They can make it happen. Man, the only people I care about is who? I care about the fighters. So, being that the fighters are contractors, it goes with the territory. I understand some of the fighters are being let go. I don't know the case, but if they're firing some of their employees, I don't really care, because they have enough money. They do. They have enough money, man. Did you hear Junior Dos Santos drop 205 to face Jones? What do you guys think of that? Junior Dos Santos, man, I saw the picture. He's very light. I have to give JDS a little bit of shine, being he has pretty good boxing. All right. I'm not going to totally count JDS out, but I'm going to be honest with you now. The punch he threw against Francis Ngannou, I thought it was absolutely bullshit. And for him to drop down and face Jones is probably something he's seen in the Dominic Reyes fight, for him to say, you know what, I might do fairly well against Jones. But guess what, JDS? If you fall at a heavier weight and now you're dropping down, are you going to be able to carry that energy, that strength, that endurance? Because John Jones can. Would JDS be able to carry if it goes 5 rounds? Will he be able to go the distance? Will he be able to sustain his cardio? Good question there, Perky. Josh said, that's why I'm certain the UFC card will happen, because these people need money in these tough times. And these cards will be good. These cards will be good for everyone in terms of money, because if it's going to win, don't worry. Cruz is going to win. Junior Dos Santos didn't look bad in the picture. He put up Perky. As long as he does a healthy weight cut. I mean, right now during the pandemic, what's not healthy? The only thing that I might see a problem is him cutting weight early, getting the picture. When is this fight going to happen? You know what I'm saying? He must see, look, he must know something's in the water. Why is JDS dropping a picture saying he's willing to face John Jones? He's already weight cut during the pandemic, and we don't even have a fight card that's put on yet. You know, UFC 249 hasn't even happened yet. Why is this man dropping weight? You know what I'm saying? Why is he dropping weight? That's crazy. He must know something already. And if indeed he's the next one to face John Jones, okay. Yeah, all right. You know, I mean, I guess I hope it's free. I hope it's one of the free cards. Well, I just don't want to see John Jones and JDS for the main event PPV. Nah. Though Dana said all his employees are safe, all have jobs. Yeah, the workers for the UFC are safe, but the company that owns the UFC are firing some of their employees, not the UFC employees. I don't care, man. That's pointless for me to even talk about. A company that owns the UFC is firing their employees. I don't care. I mean, they'll make it happen. Seriously, they'll make it happen. Curtis Blaze is in the dark horse. Is a dark horse of the heavyweight division, in my opinion. He has the wrestling and the knockout power. Well, let me ask you this, Josh. I mean, how many times did he knock out Francis Ngannou when he faced him? Because he's sure enough 0-2. He's the DC facing John Jones. You know what I'm saying? He's 0-2. He's 0-2, big dog. Come on now. Talk to me, Josh, man. Come on now. Come on, man. If he got this knockout power, why didn't he knock out Francis Ngannou? Why is he 0-2 against Ngannou? You act like Ngannou is going somewhere. Where is Ngannou going? Well, I know we're waiting for him to face Rozenstruik next week, but where is all this power gonna go for Curtis Blade when Ngannou is still right there? Not only do he have Ngannou right now, but what if Rozenstruik and Ngannou put on a damn good fight? What if they go mano a mano? And it's one of the best heavyweight fights we haven't seen in a while. What does that say for Curtis Blade? Because Curtis Blade boxing, it still needs work. And look, he went in there and lost twice against a fighter who's not really known for his wrestling. So why in the hell could he not take advantage of Francis Ngannou's lack of freaking wrestling and get that win? No, bro. You said he had knockout power, but he lost to Francis Ngannou twice, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't see the knockout power there. And then we're talking about the quality of opposition that he's facing. I will always relate back to when you have a fighter that's on a losing streak. I always relate back to if they go on a knockout streak, who else has did it? Just like Ngannou, he stopped Alistair Overeem. Alistair's been slept already. Then Rozenstruik, he freaking stops Alistair Overeem. Then I say, okay, I know Alistair's been knocked out several times before, but now I factor in how the knockout happened. I think Rozenstruik's knockout was much more brutal than Ngannou. So that brings us to next week. That's what's going to make that fight so tantalizing, so special. You got two heavy-handed heavyweights that's going to go in there and should give us a show, man. I don't know. It should give us a show. Seriously. This heavyweight division is going nowhere right now. Stipe said today that he wouldn't fight or train during the pandemic, so the title has been defended. So the title hasn't been defended in nearly a year. And to let me see. I would say in favor of Stipe Miocic, the pandemic is not his culpability. You know what I'm saying? If he's not training during the pandemic, so be it. He ain't the only fighter. So I can't put any blame on Stipe Miocic because he's not training and he's a heavyweight champion. And look how long Dominick Cruz held the title before they stripped him. I mean, it's been plenty of champions. Look how long Conor McGregor, he didn't defend the lightweight or the featherweight belts. And he didn't defend them for how long? Like over 400 days? He didn't defend them? I'm not tripping over Stipe Miocic. Facts. I'm not tripping over Stipe Miocic not defending the titles. I'm not. Stipe Miocic deserves, I'm using the D word, deserves to chill. Stipe Miocic refused to take a fight after he lost to DC, came back and stopped DC after being knocked out in the first round, and took punishment in a rematch, took it on the chin, ate it, and then regurgitated his own recipe of destruction. That's real. Give it up to Stipe Miocic, the fireman. Much respect to you. Appreciate your service, man. That man, if he don't want to goddamn train during the pandemic, goddamn it, he ain't training. Seriously, real talk, man. If Stipe doesn't fight this year, I think it's time to strip because the vision has to start moving, and I like Stipe. Man, Josh, man, you hating on Stipe, bro. What is this energy? What is this vibe I'm getting? Strip? What you talking about, man? Stipe, he defeated DC fair and square. So when it comes down to it, him and DC face for a trilogy, because I'm thinking that's what DC is leaning towards. His one last fight for a trilogy, because he believes he can go in there and defeat Stipe. And it would be a damn good fight. Seriously, it would be a damn good fight. I believe DC, like anybody else, if he's been in there twice with somebody, for him, DC is a very smart fighter, man, in my opinion. So he believes all he needs to do is change up the fight plan to go back in there and get his title back. And he will retire as a champion. Not only a previous freaking two division champ, but he will retire, man, as the heavyweight champ, two-time heavyweight champ. Come on, man. One of the best to ever do it. Future Hall of Famer, for sure. Daniel Cormier, real talk. Whitaker versus Till at a catchweight without training after this pandemic. Is that true? It's just something about when I hear Till's name that I just don't get that sense of urgency. I just don't have too much positive to say about Darren Till because he was in one of the most boringest fights the UFC has ever seen. Him and Wonderboy Thompson was just the eyesore. I mean, when you're talking about a visual sleep aid, that's what it was. It put you to sleep on the spot. If they would have goddamn went in there and gave half of the audience sobriety tests, even though they wouldn't have been drinking at the time, most of them would have failed that was there watching that fight because they was drunk off boredom. They was absolutely intoxicated off pure boredom watching that fight between Darren Till and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Real talk. That's real talk. So him facing Robert Whitaker, of course I'm going for Robert Whitaker. I think Darren Till is in his mind, you know, he's a fighter that feels he can do something. You know, he can make it to a title shot in his mind. But I don't think he's confident until he's able to fight somebody of notoriety like Robert Whitaker or whatever. And he goes in there and get a win or do something. Because he got crushed by Tyron Woodley. You know what I'm saying? He got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. He just needs some confidence. You can't sit up here and convince me the gorilla is confident right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. When Khabib next fights, he would have fought 3 times in 3 years. That's crazy. That's sometimes how it happens, man, when he's basically destroying the entire division. If the head honcho returned to the sport, you know what I'm saying, and Conor McGregor and gets subbed out in 4 rounds. And then Dustin Poirier faces Max Holloway, an undersized fighter, for the vacant interim title, and then goes in there and gets subbed by Khabib. What's wrong with it? He's putting out. He's fighting the best. You got to give him his credit, man. The champions shouldn't look. I know in boxing, they pretty much in so many ways they praise a champion who fight often. All right. But in the UFC, you can fight. I give Dominique Cruz, for instance. Dominique Cruz in 2016, he had 3 championship fights, and people just blow it off as if it's nothing. That is freaking legendary shit, bro. Dominique Cruz is a 3-time bantamweight champion. All right. He went in there and he had 3 championship fights in 2016. You have to give the man his credit. TJ Dillashaw. Come on, man. Uriah Faber. Cody Garbrandt. You have to give the man his credit. So if it comes down to Khabib Nurmagomedov right now, arguably one of the secondary goats, he's in the conversation. You have to give him his credit and say, you know what? He might can make those moves. What's going on, D Hodges? What's good? That's what it is, man. Darren Till is great. Come on, man. Love. Josh. Let me see how to phrase this. Most of your comments are taking with a grade of priority. You know what I'm saying? Most of what I read when you post up here, I'll say, you know what? It has some merit behind it. You know what I'm saying? But to hear you dare speak of Darren Till being great, man, I'm just understanding one thing. I understand you say you was under 20, if that's your age. Now I'm saying, well, if you're in the bed right now, like you said, are you smoking? I mean, what's going on? Are you sipping on something? Darren Till is great. How the fuck is Darren Till great, bro? How is Darren Till great? Prove that on a Thursday, bro. You got less than 2 hours to do it before Friday kicks in, man. How in the hell is Darren Till great? You know damn well his fight against Wonderboy Thompson was the worst welterweight fight ever in the UFC history. Ever. Find somebody else that had a worse welterweight fight. And don't say any of Tyron Woodley's fights. Any of them. Don't even say it. He smashed Lawler in the first round. He defended his belt twice against Wonderboy Thompson. Defended takedowns 23-24 against Damian Maia. And went in there and smashed Till with some of the most brutal freaking transforming elbows you will ever see land on a damn cranium. And Darren Till is great. Moving on. Darren Till is a future champ. Possibly. It's potentially it's possible. I thought so too, but after a few fights, don't know. Darren Till is a funny guy. Respect Till. Oh, now he's a funny guy. So we got funny guys that's going to be great in the UFC. When you're talking about people who get elbow kicked, punched, Darren Till is great because he's a funny dude. Just because he has an accent, once again, American fans are enamored with fighters who have accents from neighboring countries. They're enamored with them. They can say any of the dumbest shit ever, and they laugh, and they think they're the best people ever. No, hell no. I'm guessing Darren Till is your favorite fighter. I'll just say, who is he? He's just a guy who has been proven to basically have a spa day most of the time he's in the ring with top-tier opponents. A spa day is when you're laid out on the canvas beneath the lights, and in Darren Till case, he wasn't quite conscious. So it may be considered a knockout. I mean, he's been known to do that. But I know when you go in there with a fighter like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, you barely do anything. And then you pull up out of a fight because of a weight cut and saying you damn near died. Respect. All right, because that shit does happen. But then you go in there and get knocked out by Tyron Woodley and knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. He ain't nowhere great. But I have to understand some of the people it's the pandemic, and some people are going to make jokes. They're going to work on their comedic skills, and not every piece of content is going to be merited as being genuine. You know what I'm saying? I get it, Josh. I get it. Perky online debate, Scotty versus Josh about Darren Till is great or not. It's no debate, Perky. It's no debate. I know, look, Perky, I know you and Josh is probably goddamn neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Because, Perky, you should have corrected Josh if you know anything about Darren Till taking spa days in between fights. I mean, right in the middle of the fight. Who does that? Who does that? You should have corrected him, talking about Till is great. In that case, let's bring out Clay Guida. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about all the other fighters that are great in that division that keep on getting stopped. I'll name a boring fight in the welterweight division, Kamar Usman, but he's champion though. You can't really put him and Till in the same position because he was able to accomplish something Till wasn't able to do. He defeated Tyron Woodley. That's FACTS right there, all the way through, shot. Perky, we have to agree that Till is great. And, you know, forming alliances on here, it's not going to do anything because ultimately, it's not going to matter, especially if I break it down that it is full of falsicities and everything else that goes along with it. I'm from the UK, have to love my boy Till. You don't have to do anything there, Josh. Look, that's just like saying, okay, Deontay Wilder said, I gotta love Deontay Wilder for everything he does, whether it's right or wrong. That just goes to show you that the UK fans always gravitate to the UK fighters, regardless. Most of them. Mike Perry and Darren Till go for spa days. Absolutely. And you know, Cowboy Cerrone was almost guilty of freaking larceny because he damn near took and stole Mike Perry's arm and ended his career. But hey, it didn't happen that way. You know, thanks to the referee being close enough to stop the fight. Did you see Mike Perry broke up with his wife? I don't really get into that because I know it's tough. Coming from the military is tough. So I really don't get into people's personal business about wife because I know the fight business can be tough with people getting punched in the head and then being tough to live with. The same shit goes on in the military all the time. So I really don't get into that type of talk. You know, if they broke up, man, they might get back together a week later. You know what I'm saying? They seem like they was having fun for a minute. There's good, those ain't bad. Well, there's good, there's bad. I did say thought he was great, but after watching a few fights, I said no, he wasn't. How can Darren Till be great without a title? Let me ask both of you that. They world class. If you're talking about those fighters like Till and all them, yeah, they world class. They're elite fighters. Absolutely. Absolutely. The average person, and Till is a tough dude. Till was fighting on the streets, everything. Till is a tough dude. You know, all jokes aside, just like Michael Bisping, very tough dude. These guys they will fight you in the street. And if you look at Till's history, Till has been known to lose his temper and goddamn go off the handles and shit like that. But lacing his presence with that G word, that's unlawful. You know what I'm saying? That's unlawful here on WCS. Seriously. And look, Perky Josh, y'all better be glad I ain't time you out for that. Y'all trying to bring the Barnum and Bailey circus on here, talking that cartoon shit. You know damn well Till is not even in the top 50 of greats in the UFC. Till's not even in the top 80. Y'all know that. If that's the case, Alistair Overeem, shit, that he should be freaking top 5. Darren Till still isn't the finished product, and he's still young. I like the guy, and I think he's good. But if he beats Rob, then you have to agree, Scott, that Till is great. I'm gonna leave that alone, bro. I'm not sure what your definition is great, and plus, I'm not in the area to send over VADA or USADA or some type of law enforcement to apply a blood test to see, you know, what exactly is going on tonight. Because you seem a little bit off from the usual solid comments that you drop in there, Josh. I'm gonna just let it ride. Mike Perry, remember at the weigh-ins when he went and shake the guy's hand and then shake it and then scream, "I'm not your friend." Yeah, I mean, he has a personality, but he might be a little bit, a guy who's taking punishment too. Mike Perry is taking punishment, man. Perky had potential. Don Dollar, what's good? Salute to you, man. There can be great fighters that are not champions. Look at Masvidal, Uriah Faber, Chael Sonnen, Yoel Romero, Diaz brothers. Okay, to break that down, not everybody that you mentioned are in the same class. Not everybody you mentioned is in the same class. Great, in my understanding and retention of the word great is not in this category of combat sports, just for anybody who has fought at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? That's not considered great, because look, you can't say, me covering boxing, they don't get the same love. If you got a fighter over here that hasn't really achieved anything, have picked up a world title, how can they even be considered great? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody can't be Sam Langford, the greatest boxer not to win a title. Everybody can't be him. Everybody can't be him. And you don't have that same language today in boxing and mixed martial arts, man. You don't. So Uriah Faber, I can understand him, one of the greats, because, potentially, partially, because he was a champion in WEC. He came over and he fought the best names. You know what I'm saying? He is one of the greats. He's a future Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a champion in WEC, even though it really doesn't count for the UFC. Chael Sonnen, repeat drug cheat, never held the title, but a lot of people would give him his accolades for the beating that he put on Anderson Silva. But it's all about how you finish. You know what I'm saying? It's all about how you finish. And he got subbed out. The Diaz brothers never won a title. They're great together. They're very tough competitors, but great. Jorge Masvidal, known for his street, his street credentials, being absolutely legit, and then coming over to the UFC, of mixed martial arts in general, and basically coming into his own. But he still has a lot to prove, man. Outside of that 5-second knockout, he has a lot to prove. He needs to win a belt. Yoel Romero the same way. He fought some of the top competitions, but Yoel Romero being a freak of nature, a specimen, he hasn't won a belt. The best one that's out of that bunch that you just mentioned is Uriah Faber. He won a belt in the WEC. And he also subbed out Dominique Cruz when he was contending over there. D. Hodges, whose record? Perky, wasn't Dana trying to hype Till up? I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. Perky, you know what I'm saying? Dana White is supposed to hype up the next up and coming fighters to sell tickets and everything else. Real talk. The only one he succeeded in really was Conor McGregor. Like, Conor McGregor, for real. He got behind Conor McGregor. It paid millions, for real. Seriously, it paid millions, man. Josh, Till shouldn't have been fighting at the welterweight division anyway. That weight cut was brutal. You know what else is brutal, Josh? Besides the weight cut is the excuses that I'm hearing now. I'm hearing excuses because of the weight cut. That's not what weight was he fighting at when he got knocked out. What weight was he fighting at when he fought Tyron Woodley? He made the damn weight, right? He was a bigger fighter at the weigh-ins, right? Then he stepped up and he tried to fight Jorge Masvidal. What weight class was Jorge Masvidal in? So if you're going to talk about weight cut, what weight class was those two fights he got knocked out? What weight class were they in? I really never heard of him. Hey, D Hodges, man, don't even waste your thought process on Darren Till, because tonight Darren Till is getting as much shine as probably any type of media outlet has given him in a while. Even though I've seen him, look, I don't dislike Darren Till, I don't, but I'm just being honest. And him as a fighter, the amount of shit he was talking, and he really hasn't been able to back it up yet with the elite fighters. He still has a way to go. Seriously, he has a way to go, man. Don Dollar say World Combat Sports salute WCS. I would time them, just say who. I know for real. You know what I'm saying? Josh say Mike Perry already had a girlfriend after breaking up with his wife. Damn. Hey man, it's a hard knock life out there, man. Mike Perry have 99 problems, but finding a girl ain't one. Y'all say I changed my statement. He's a good fighter. Till he's not a great yet. I should have worded it better. Matt Serra, do you Kondo see great when he won a title? Matt Serra, do you see a great when he won a title? His win was great. You talking about when he finally won the title, being the undersized, lacked height against GSP, the big height job. You know what I'm saying? GSP, one of the best fighters of the UFC. Yeah, man, that was a great fight that Matt Serra won. Absolutely. Absolutely. It didn't matter if he lost a rematch. He beat one of the best rising stars of the UFC when he was supposed to have been on a tear. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to have been like getting on track, wheels turning, coming on the win streak. And he went in there and got stopped by Matt Serra. And it was a legit win for Matt Serra, defeating GSP. Legit. Dundallah said, can Wilder refuse to step aside? Dundallah, I see you he about to light a fuse with that step aside. You about to light a fuse, because I know what Dundallah and D Hodges is, where y'all swim in the media current. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know why that is going around about this step aside money. I guess it's good conversation, but not I, said the cat. I ain't entertaining it. Not from who I'm talking to. Look, boxing may not happen on the highest level for 2020, right? So how is 2021 Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is going to be the priority? You know what I'm saying? How are they going to be the priority? How? Josh says Scotty Chael's son is undefeated and subbed out Tito. And we could mention Tony Ferguson in the list. I consider him great. Till record is 18-2, Hodges. 18-2-1. That's Till record. 18-2-1. And both his losses were brutal. But that doesn't make him a great fighter since he's 18-1. I mean, we're talking about the level of competition he faced, just like in boxing. It's all judged on the level of competition. Judged. That's his record, Hodges. 18 wins, 2 losses. That's a good record. That's a good record in a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? If you get a boxer that comes in here with an 18-2 record, well, I can make an example of Boots Ennis. Good dude, right? Boots Ennis is 25-0, but people don't look at him as being a respectful contender for the title, because within that ledger that he has, and it is respectable. And I know a lot of people love Boots. It's nothing against him. I'm just giving my analogies from what my studies is, back and forth for boxing and MMA, right? But just take Boots Ennis. They're going to look at the people on his ledger and say, you know what, who has he fought that was legitimate? Errol Spence. They'll say, well, who has he fought until he won the title against Kell Brook? They would say that about Terrence Crawford. Who on tap? The list goes on and on, y'all. The list goes on and on about that shit. Come on now, Scar. That weight cut was brutal. Man, I'm not going to continue to talk about Darren Till. You know what? Darren Till's not even fighting on the card next week. I'd rather you just keep it on the card next week. I'm not going to give Till all that shine because he's from the UK. Scotty, what would be the fight of the night at UFC 249? For me, it would be Jeremy versus Calvin. Not even. Man, you all over the place, bro. How that's going to be fight of the night? Dundada, thanks for not stepping aside. Champ beat Bomb Squad to this day. I don't see Deontay Wilder taking step aside money, man. I just don't see him as being that guy. I'm not going to lie. I will be extremely disappointed if Deontay even thought about considering step aside money. I just don't see him as being that guy, to be honest. I don't see him, his nature. I don't see his freaking integrity as a fighter and what he's trying to accomplish in the sport. For a person who started boxing the way he did and went through what he did and was able to earn the bronze medal and go through the course of his career, why would he take one loss and then say, you know what, I'm giving up everything? His fight before the loss with Tyson Fury was much tougher than anything. He was fighting for a greater cause. That's hard, Josh said Greg Hardy is about to get knocked out. Is the card on this weekend? No, the card is allegedly scheduled for next week. Allegedly. It's supposed to be scheduled in Jacksonville at the V-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. So we'll see if it actually happens. Greg Hardy is overhyped, and he fought trash cans in the UFC so far. Look, speaking of fight records, Josh, Darren Till, his main names on his record is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Cowboy Cerrone, and Kevin Gastelum. So I'm just keeping it real. His record is 18-2, but look at who he's fought, man. Look who he's fought, and look who has defeated those guys that's on his record besides Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Okay, besides Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, because that was the weakest fight. Look, that was top 2, the weakest fight, male or female, ever in the UFC. Your boy Till, weakest, the weakest. You said your question was, what would be the fight of the night? What would be the fight of the night? That was your question, man. And I don't think Jeremy Stephens and Calvin Kattar is going to be the fight of the night. Not with the first 3 cards, the first 3 fights on the card. How can I sit up here with integrity, with media integrity, knowing that Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje are both going to bring unheard of intensity from both sides. The clash is going to be astronomical. How can I sit up here and say, you know what? Yeah, Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar is going to be the fight of the night over Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, over Henry Cejudo and Dominique Cruz, even Rosenstruck and Ngannou. It's no way. It's no way that I can do that. I'm not chilling in the rack right now. I'm not chilling just kicked up, sipping on moonshine. Josh said Greg Hardy is overhyped and he fought trash cans. Okay. Volkov put a brutal beating on him. The Castro is sending him this man in space. Come on, Kattar Stevens will be great stand-up. Didn't say it wouldn't be a great stand-up, but it won't be fight of the night. Greg Van Haler, get the money and all the belts. After AJ versus Fury, get the money and all the belts in one fight. After AJ versus Fury. But I look at it this way, Hodges. I don't think the general public views Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder the same. Because if Deontay Wilder was to make a business move and do what you just said, okay, get all the belts and let them fight, he will have to be assured, first and foremost, that the step-aside money is beneficial. I'm not sure what that step-aside money would be. I don't get involved in money of the fighters. And then second of all, his name would absolutely have to be next in line for the winner of Fury AJ. He would definitely have to have that shit and cement it, saying, you know what, it's for sure that you're gonna be the next in line. But then thirdly, will he be able to take a fight? Will he be able to walk away? Like I said this earlier, that Tyson Fury didn't take the rematch immediately, right? So being that Tyson Fury did not take that immediate rematch, if Deontay Wilder did the exact same thing, he will face extreme scrutiny as if he was scared, he was ducking and everything else. But when Tyson Fury did it and didn't take the immediate rematch, they were saying, oh, he got knocked out. He had to take some time off. It was a good choice. But if Deontay Wilder does it, they're gonna criticize him forever and a day. They're gonna say he's a quitter, he's ducking, he's scared, all that shit. So I don't think it plays out the same, man. I don't think it is it's a double standard first and foremost, but I don't think it levels out the same. I think they will give Deontay Wilder extreme heat for that, man. Dundalk say WCS cooking boxing and MMA, man. That's what I try to do, man. I'm trying to cook it up. But people up here trying to throw, goddamn pre-cooked, freaking burnt up wieners on the goddamn grill, man. Don't nobody want that shit. Don't nobody want no pre-cooked marshmallows on this motherfucker, man. Come up here talking that bullshit, Josh. Come on, Till is better than Greg. He's still on Till, man. No love. Moving on. You have to establish, perimeters sometime. You try to keep them transparent, but people just want to take advantage of them. Greg Hardy out here fighting cans. I'm not really going to talk on Greg Hardy on who he's fighting. The man haven't even proved himself yet. Gaethje, Cruz, Ngannou, De Castro, Kattar. Put your money on all of them. I'm starting to get convinced Gaethje pulls this off. I can kind of sort of go with that because I'm a Gaethje fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Gaethje fan. I'm going for Gaethje and Cruz. But it's difficult for both because Tony Ferguson haven't did anything for me to sway. Dude is a solid killer. Tony Ferguson is a solid freaking killer. Just because I'm going for Gaethje, man, doesn't dilute any type of talent that freaking Tony Ferg has. I just feel like Justin Gaethje is just, I don't know, man. If he's changed the game up a little bit and he maintains his poise, it's gonna be an exciting fight, man. Oh man, it's gonna be an exciting fight. Nagano, Rosenstruck, that's gonna be a good one. You know, I mean, all of them that you mentioned is gonna be straight. Yeah, Don Dollar. Josh trying to goddamn throw pre-cooked goddamn extra crispy marshmallows on this bitch with goddamn with damn maple syrup in his hand, talking about, yeah, this is how we do it in the UK. No, we don't do that over here, bro. No. D Hodges say, because if he beat Fury, he still has to wait for AJ. Take the money, step aside, get all the belts in one fight. I don't know, man. Pride wise to me, I don't know why, if we in a pandemic, why not go get your belt back, right? And face AJ. You know what I'm saying? Why take the option if you have all this time to improve your skill set? We've seen the best Fury. We've seen the best Fury. That's all I'm saying. We've seen him. Now Deontay Wilder has goddamn a year to come back, much improved for whatever he's fine tuning and polishing up, to step back in there against Tyson Fury, man, and then go for the head of Joshua, the one that he really wants. And we all know Joshua don't have a chin. I'm gonna tell you right now, we all know Joshua can't beat Deontay Wilder. We know that shit. You're trying to tell me the Olympian that stepped in there with Andy Ruiz and got smashed and came back in and fought Andy Ruiz in Saudi Arabia, right? And ran, didn't look impressive. All of a sudden, he's gonna be this heavy-hitting freaking puncher. Did he knock out Andy Ruiz? Andy Ruiz was seriously overweight, deconditioned, and he couldn't even knock out Andy Ruiz, right? So all of a sudden, I supposed to go against and say, you know what, he's going to give Deontay Wilder a good showing? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I can't flow with that, man. Hell no. Deontay Wilder, goddamn, hold your hand up, walk down to the ring once again with whatever you got, your armor, and you go to war, my brother. Don't take no step aside money for nobody. Hell no. Fuck all that. Why wait? He has goddamn to the end of 2020 to fine tune his arsenal. Go back in the heat of battle that much more lethal and get your motherfucking title back. Josh said Greg Hardy's pre-cooked marshmallow. No, Josh, your comments is pre-cooked marshmallows tonight. But I can pretty sure it's easy, you know, wasting time behind the screen. I get it. Cruz about to pull off a W for the people. When Bruce Buffer goes, it's time. Carla Esparza versus Michelle Watson. Who wins? I got Carla Esparza. I got Carla Esparza, man. Y'all hold on. Yeah, definitely got Carlos Esparza. I don't know about her putting a beating on Waterson. Waterson can fight, man. Karate Hottie, she can fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight. I'm curious to see how Carla Esparza. I'm pretty curious to see how she looks, man. Because Esparza, she was champion at one time. You know what I'm saying? She has a win over Thug Rose Namajunas and several other people. You know what I'm saying? She has been in some wars, so we'll see how it works out. Dana White said his favorite KO was Masvidal versus Ben Askren. So, the best KO, in a sense, it depends on how deep you study the game of combat. Being that he has a history with Ben Askren, right? And it took everything in me or in him to, I don't know, whatever convinced him to bring Ben Askren over to the UFC in a trade for Demetrius Johnson, the only trade ever in the organization. It's almost like the BMF belt. It makes absolutely no sense to me on how that all worked out, because DJ is arguably the GOAT, of mixed martial arts in a sense. Even though he only reigned in one division because he was beaten by Dominique Cruz in the bantamweight division, he basically defended his title 11 times. So therefore, him exceeding the original record, you have to give Demetrius Johnson, who is still winning in one championship. I mean, come on, the dude is unbelievable. So for him to trade and bring Ben over here, and for Ben to go ahead and win a controversial bout against Robbie Lawler via bulldog choke, right? And then step in there. It was one of those deals where I don't know, man. It was very, very intelligent of Jorge Masvidal to say, you know what? Ben is predictable. If I run towards him, he's definitely going to try for the double leg. That's in his nature. That's what his muscle memory tells him to do. Why not do it? And that's sure enough, that's what happened. He level changed and he ran into a freaking kneecap. And at first I was saying the knee didn't hit him in his head, but it did. It did hit him in the right side of his head, and his freaking looked like his clavicle or his neck area. As far as it being the best knockout, I've seen some pretty good knockouts in the UFC. I can't really put that, but in the manner for which it was done, you know what I'm saying? 5 seconds. It's up there, top. It's up there, the top knockouts. It is. It's up there. It's up there. I'm not gonna lie. Just let make Darren Till great again. You know what's gonna happen? See, y'all think y'all gonna take over the chat with bullshit, but this what's gonna happen. Perky's going on timeout. Josh is going on timeout for even damn entertaining that Till was great shit. I just put them on timeout and give them time to recollect. You can't take over a chat and talk BS than the primary, most of the night. You can't do that. I understand humor, but Darren Till, nah, that ain't happening, bro. Is packed bud real or pre-cooked marshmallow? Man, look, check this out, Dundada, right? For Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum said he would give Terrence Crawford the opportunity to fight anybody. Now we know, Bud is not going to step up there to 154 and fight Jamel. It's not going to happen. It was good for TV and everything else that goes along with it. But for him fight Manny Pacquiao, I really hope it happens, because you know what's true? Errol Spence isn't fighting Manny Pacquiao out the gate upon his return. He's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So the good thing about it is potentially with the time that we have, the downtime, Bob Arum can possibly make, a fight with Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. And I've said this before. I've said it on my lives before. It will make the welterweight unification bout that much more equitable once it comes to the PPV status. Because if Bud Crawford, who I know can beat Manny Pacquiao, and I know if Bud fights Pacquiao, there will be proper testing. It's not going to be this Lucas Matisse. It's not going to be the Adrian Brawner and then Keith Thurman with minimal testing to no testing. I think with Bud Crawford, boom, he goes in there and he defeats Manny Pacquiao for a nice little payday. So you got WBO, WBA champion Bud Crawford and the WBC and IBF champion Errol Spence. What better unification bout to have PPV and the fans come and check it out? That makes it equitable across the board. It's a 50-50 fight. Forget all that other shit. Who did it first? That's over with. Bud Crawford get this WBA belt from Manny Pacquiao. It's a 50-50 fight, bro. It's no, I got the WBC title first. I got this first. Terrence Crawford, his three division accolades, his badges, his credentials, they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. He deserved everything he get. Just like Errol Spence, two-time welterweight champion. It ain't going anywhere. So for them to clash and both of them have two belts, absolutely. All the marbles, let's get it done. Good. We good. That would be the fight to make. It's not when you get KO, it's how it look. When you get KO, I'm trying to think about who you're talking about. Who you talking about, Hodges? Because if you're talking about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, it is how you look. I just think if that's who you're talking about, Deontay Wilder landed a punch before the fight was stopped. He was still fighting. That's just what I saw. When it comes to Anthony Joshua, he spit out his gum shield and he was looking left or right in his corner for a way out. And they gave it to him. The referee stopped the fight. He quit. Anthony Joshua quit. That's why I know he won't defeat Deontay Wilder. He won't defeat Deontay Wilder. I don't know, man. A knockout on your feet, TKO stoppage. I always look at that as, okay, you get a little bit more leniency, just a tad bit of leniency if you get stopped a little bit, like you're on your feet and the referee deem you unfit to continue. But then when you get put to sleep, it's much worse. But then that's why I look back at Lennox Lewis. Like Lennox Lewis knocked out by Oliver McCall and then knocked out by Hasim Rothman and came back. Like, you know what I'm saying? You look at fighters that's been knocked out cold and return to do fairly decent. You know what I'm saying? Getting knocked out cold? I don't know, man. You know, they always say it's a puncher's chance. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing. I get it. But when you get knocked out cold, people remember that. Like, they remember it. When you get knocked out, freaking snoozing, cold. Amir Khan, he will always be remembered for the knockouts that he received. That's why he can't get on track. And now, most recently, he will be remembered for quitting against Bud Crawford. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just like James Kirkland, man. I knew it was coming, but he was giving the fans what they wanted. I knew it was coming, and then it appeared. when Canelo called him with that right, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. Shitter was brutal. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the later rounds, that's another way of looking at it. If you're talking about the later rounds, vice the early rounds, yeah. The early rounds definitely anchors down a little bit more judgment, so to speak, or people looking at you as being, they putting a bit more I don't know, they'll say it was much more fucked up for you to get knocked out in the early rounds than it was the late rounds, because the late rounds, you can be fatigued. It can be a tough fight leading up to that knockout, everything else. So yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Later rounds getting knocked out. Yeah, but when it comes down to it, that knockout is a knockout. I mean, I'm talking about when you get knocked out cold. But I get what you're saying, though. If you come in there and you get knocked out in the second, third round. But it's been fights that happen like that, man. That some fighters get a pass on. They got stopped early and then they came back. Hey. But I get what you're saying, though. But, man, I'm about to roll up out of here. I've been on here for 2 hours already. Everybody tuned in. I appreciate it. Dundada Hodges, Perky Josh, all y'all that goddamn tuned in. I appreciate it. We shall do this again. I'm not sure about the fight card next week. That's why I'm holding off on really getting down into the wickets about the card. But UFC 249 is supposed to pop off next week, May 9th, at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Center. Dana White is trying to put this card together. I really hope it happens. It'll be in a Florida has lifted the sanctions, right? A bit. So my concern is I just want to know how many people are going to be there. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know how many people are going to be at the fight. Like, what is going to be the gathering numbers? What's the assignment? What is the restriction? What's the limit? Are they going to allow back up to 50? What is the case with that? That's my concern. But yeah, next week it should start getting some traction. If they start doing a press conference or saying they're going to do a press conference or whatever the case may be. But we still got to the jury's still out on that, y'all, on whether this fight is actually going to take place or not. The good thing about it is that they're talking about it on social media as if it's a done deal, it's confirmed, and everything moving forward is going to happen. It's not going to be like Tachi Palace going on an Indian reservation and then that shit gets shut down. I think this is actually going to pop off. WCS put hand and feet on them. Man, I had to time them out, man. Thanks so much. Great show. Dundalk said, D Hodges, salute. Yeah, for everybody who tuned in, man, I appreciate it. It just got a little bit off track. Mentioned the same people that was irrelevant. It was just irrelevant. Can't take over the chat talking about fighters is irrelevant to anything. That fighter don't have a fight card coming up, and to keep on going back and forth about the same fighter. You have to kind of put your foot down and put up some barriers and some boundaries. And I have no problem with the fun and the jokes and everything, but no, not the entire, not damn 60% of the live chat. It's not a carnival over here, man. If I'm switching up between boxing and MMA, that shit ain't popping like that. I at least want some quality freaking content to talk about. Not the same thing for freaking 60% of the live chat. But yeah, y'all hold it down, man. My next time on here is going to be strictly boxing. But I wanted to get on here and talk about, what they said about Stephen A. Smith and dealing with the situation with Cowboy Cerrone. And, the UFC 249 potentially kicking off next week. And, of course, the video titles that I mentioned earlier about, it's so many topics to talk about that's legit, that's going on with boxing, that people don't need to sit up here and put up flares when they put the titles descriptions up there to get people to tune in. People gonna tune into your shit regardless. You put the title up there, people should tune in. You have people that gravitate to people that talk shit. You have people that gravitate to younger group, older group, whatever it is, man. You have different people that's gonna gravitate to you and tune into your channel. But yeah, I appreciate the ones who stopped through. Salute to you always. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Till next time, salute to you.